Hey everyone, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. Thanks for joining me for story number 6 in my December daily album. If you'd like to see what I'm going to do, stay tuned. Hi everyone, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. Thanks for joining me for my story number 6. This is December Daily 2024's album, and I'm working on Nora's story about going to her annual tea party at our church. And they do this, this is like her 3rd or 4th year attending. So the first thing I need to do is trim down this transparency that I got at Joann. I try to wait until they have a sale on specialty papers, and then I purchase several sheets of this American Crafts brand of acetate. And then I knew I wanted to include the invitation. I trimmed it down just a little bit, and I kept on the back, our kids director wrote a note, personal note to the kiddos, and so I wanted to include that as well. Last year, I came up with the idea of doing a teacup and including it. This year, I wanted it to be like more of an envelope. So what I did was I just measured diagonally how many inches the invitation was, which was like 7.5, which meant I needed to cut an 8.5-inch square. And then I flipped the invitation and used my bone folder to just kind of, I don't know, it's not exact or anything. Like, I definitely should have measured because it's way crooked, but it's fine. It is what it is. So I just made my own little envelope basically with this pattern paper that I had in my stash from Pink Fresh Studio. I love the colors. I wanted to include pinks and reds, and I just thought it was kind of whimsical and fun, and I liked the double-sided section on the envelope because I knew you were going to be able to see inside the envelope when you open it up, so I wanted it to be a double-sided paper, which is why I looked in my stash to see what else I had. And then I'm just trimming out the little corners there, and then I'm going to use my corner punch to round the corners of the flaps and adhere it with some tape. Once I have my envelope like all put together, I know I want it to be adhered to the top of the transparency and look like it's kind of just floating on the paper, but I wasn't sure what to do with all the photos, and I didn't want to just tuck them into the envelope and call it good. I wanted it to be a little bit more, I guess, interactive and interesting than just that, even though that would have been totally fine to just leave it as is, but you know me, I'm super extra, so of course I had to think outside the box, or outside the envelope. So I am going to tape this down temporarily just with some extra washi, and I decide that I want to feature 2 of the photos that I took of Nora and her friend Natalie, who she took to the tea party and who stayed overnight, as like the main photos. The other 2 photos were sent to me from our friend who is the children's director and put on the whole tea party. So, and you also saw that I pulled over a wood veneer number 6. It's a really big number, and I loved that it was the perfect shade of pink for this story. So now I decide I need to use these green scallop tags. I was going to use them in story number 5 and didn't, and I just felt like, all right, it's time to use them. I don't know why, but that's what I decided to do. So I thought in my head, I'm going to take these scallop tags and have them kind of peek behind the envelope so that you can pull it out, the main photos here. So those pictures I took right before we took the girls to the tea party right in front of our tree, and you know, they get to dress up and they play games and they have, you know, some like little finger foods like cucumber sandwiches and little treats, and then they made Christmas card letter things, I guess you could call them. And so I tried to trace the photo using the tag as the template, but then of course you wouldn't see the green portion of the scallop border. So then I tried to use some scissors that had a scalloped edging. That didn't work very well at all. And so then I moved on to my Fiskars punch, which worked much better and I should have done to begin with. And even though the scallops don't quite line up with the tag edges, it's okay. At this point, I'm just kind of over it. And so I decided to make it work as best I can, glue it down with my Tombow glue or Tombow tape and leave it. And so I trimmed it down so that I could put a little embellishment on top of the photo. So I had N and then the ampersand sticker and then N for Natalie and Nora. So now I'm going to move the tape and see if this will work. And I'm like, yeah, I think I like that. I like that you can pull the tag out from behind the envelope like a peekaboo there. And I still have 3 more photos at this point that I'm not quite sure what to do with. So I'm going to pull over the larger scallop tag, which is the one right here. This is this story. I haven't used them yet, so I'm going to open that package up and use it to keep the other photos on. First, I decide to use the back side of the tag and go right to my scallop punch out the photo, and adhere that to the back side. And that one is so cute because the sun's kind of in their face, so their smiles are a little bit scrunched up, and I think it's just super sweet. So I'm sorry that some of this is kind of off in the bottom of the frame. I forgot that I was so zoomed in, but essentially what I did was I trimmed down the other 2 remaining photos and adhered them to the front and back side of the This Story scallop card. And then I took a green heart label. I don't remember what year it's from. It could even be from this year's Advent sticker kit, just so that I can add a teeny tiny bit of journaling. And that's all I added to this story was this bit of my journaling. The rest is all actually in our kids director's handwriting, which is on the back of the invitation. So I love that. And then I also am going to trim down the card that Nora made at the party and include her handwriting in the story as well. So I love that this particular story really isn't centered on me at all. It's all about Nora and her experience and the fun that she had with her friend. So once I get the number 6 down on the envelope, I know that actually, I don't think I'd hear that yet. The first thing I'm going to do is add score tape to the back of the envelope so that it stays down on top of the transparency. And this tape is really, really strong and sturdy, so I know it's not going to move once I stick it down. And then I can adhere the number 6, which I don't even know what it's from. Maybe like an old Week in the Life kit or Day in the Life kit. But they're really big numbers, and it's like the perfect shade of pink. It's like it was made for this story, so I love that it worked out that way. So I'm just going to put the Velcro dot on the bottom and then use some more score tape actually I think I'm going to use redline tape for the top of the number 6, and that way it'll sit nice and pretty and hold the top flap down. So now I'm deciding that I want to have a little bit of a title up above the envelope where there's about a quarter of that transparency that's visible and it's kind of just blank space. So I want to incorporate the scallop tag effect. So what I do is stamp on sticker paper SCV Tea Party using my Distress Oxide ink, and I think this one is Barn Door. It's like a reddish orange shade, and I use just my Memento Tuxedo Black dye ink for the border, and you could see that I use the washi to cover up the little hole, since these stamps are supposed to be tag shapes. Instead of it being a tag, I just basically made it into a label by covering up the hole with the washi tape before I stamped it down onto the ink. And then I removed a little piece of washi tape once I wanted to stamp the tag onto the sticker paper. And the alphas are an add-on from this year, and they're my favorite. I love wonky letters, and it just takes off the pressure of having to create like perfectly straight, evenly spaced letters or words. And I totally eyeballed this, so it's a good thing it worked out the way it did. So now I'm going to fussy cut that out. And actually I meant, the whole entire reason I stamped it on sticker paper and not cardstock was because I wanted to put this on top of that same pattern paper that I used for the envelope, so that you could, when you flip over the transparency and you can see the back side of the envelope through the other side, you would see the same paper on the top on the back side of this label. But I totally forgot to do that and just put the sticker paper right on top of the transparency. Then you saw that I went into my stash of random bits and bobs for trims. This was one I purchased off Etsy earlier this year, and I decided to use the red line tape and just add it to the bottom of the transparency just to kind of finish it off. I think when I have like a vellum or a transparency, I like to have some sort of border to ground the page, if you will. And then once I pick that, I decided to use this red velvet trim to add to the top of this tag that's going to pull out from behind my little DIY envelope there. And those are basically the finishing touches, I believe, on this story. All right, so now that I think it's pretty much done, I'm showing you the inside pieces, and then I quick showed you Nora's card. I'm going to trim that down off camera, and that's going to go inside the envelope too. I'm going to keep all of the pieces that I want inside the envelope together with a little bright green paper clip that I had in my stash. So you can see the finished story, all nice and done. And I really enjoy this simple, easy story. So you can definitely tag me if you use this story as inspiration. Make sure that you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're not. Make sure you hit the bell so that you don't miss my content, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourselves, and remember that you are enough. Bye, friends.